Okay, real quick, just a little addendum, real quick. What what lead? Like, what foot do you lead with, and what are you doing with your free hand?
The foot doesn't really matter that much. The key is you want to change the lead foot every time you do something.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, you would never lead or show the weapon. Okay. So how I've always used this was to have a backpack or an umbrella or my hand
Right.
up here. Okay. Get this out down here. When the three big giant heavyweights were piling out of the one sedan that the Monte Carlo or Buick that pinned me against the curb on Sufton Avenue, and my hip was torn. I couldn't get up on the sidewalk. I went to step up on the sidewalk. I couldn't. This hip was torn. Okay, so I stepped back down the gutter. I pulled out. I pulled this blade out. I hit it with this empty hand. It wasn't this. It was actually a 3-inch blade I had in here. I hit it with this empty hand. I triangled to here. Okay, here, here. I'm right behind the rear corner of this Buick. The guy in the rear view mirror, the driver, the skinny dude, is looking at me. The three heavyweights stop because they all know I have something in my hand and I'm ready, and they can't see what it is. And the guy says, "Wrong guy."
Oh, I remember that one.
And then they close the doors and then they pull on.
Right.
Okay, so you always want to hide this thing. So if I'm right here and I got big boy here and big boy and bigger boy coming around over here,
Oh, God.
then what I really need to do is invite him in, pull him into me, stab his kidney, shove him into big boy, okay, and use him as a block. Try to get to the driver,
Right.
okay, because that's a skinny guy that I could try to come in and get him. So once it's a contact situation, you're only justified legally in using any type of weapon unless there's a couple of them.
Right.
Okay, so where you move is to the outside of the standing casualty that you just generated,
Right.
and you're moving to the side opposite of where your palm of your empty hand is facing, so you can shove him into that guy, and you've got to engage this guy now, okay?
Oh.
And then you've got to use him. Now maybe this big boy's coming around over here, and maybe you want to stand this twerp up for a while and give him a couple, and then go over to deal with this guy if he's that much less scary than this other dude. So this is the way that situation was going to have to go, okay? But with guys that big, that 3-inch blade would have been like using this pen on guys my size.
Yeah.
You know, it would have ended up going against me. I would just be trying to make sure that I generated 2 casualties, so I couldn't be locked up on top of waking up in the hospital.
Right.
Okay, so you're, as far as your lead, you're not thinking in terms of dueling or am I going to be the southpaw in this fight or what. You're constantly switching southpaw, orthodox, as you're moving around the guy. And if somebody's coming this way and he's now scarier than this guy and this guy's balking, well, I want him. So now I'm going to pull this guy and push him in front of here so I can get to this guy because he's afraid and he's going to be an easy casualty. Okay, and get to him and then try to swing him around and put him in, because one of these guys is probably going to be a guy you can't take.
Yeah.
And you're just using the other guys as meat shields.
So that lead free open hand is just as important.
You're either pulling it or you're pushing it. It's one thing that the Filipinos are right about, okay? But they tend to practice it just standing in front of each other, and hardly any of them ever really use the triangle stepping.
Interesting.
It's just because they don't do it in competitive contact format.
All right, that's a good addendum. Thank you, sir.